Welcome to part 2 of the Cove Crop Top tutorial. So now that you have both your cups made and they're identical in size, we're going to attach them together. So one of your cups should be fastened off and the other one should still be attached to the working yarn. So put your hook through the loop that's on the other cup that we made. And we're going to attach it to the other one, so make sure they're lined up like this. And insert your hook into the very corner of the second cup. Just make sure you're on the very corner stitch of that cup. And now we're going to yarn over and pull through the stitch and also the loop that's on your hook. That's called a slip stitch. And now your cups are attached together. And then you can trim off that end and pull the yarn through to fasten off. The next step is to weave in our ends, so grab your yarn needle and thread one of the ends of your piece through the needle. And now we're just going to poke our needle into random little holes in our top. It doesn't matter what pattern you go in, just make sure you're weaving the ends back and forth and back and forth. I like to do this about 5 or 6 times to really secure my end in. And then once you've woven in the end, you can cut the yarn. I'm going to speed up the next process, but do that to all the ends on your top. Now we're going to take our second measurement. So hold the cup to your body and go from the corner of the cup to about the end of your rib cage. That's also about the distance between your armpit and the end of your rib cage. This is how wide the sides of the top are going to be. And remember, it is a corset back, so you definitely don't want to make these sides too long. If you make them too long, then you won't be able to tie it like a corset in the back and the fabric will kind of bunch up and it won't look very nice. So just make sure you're doing from about your armpit to the end of your rib cage and don't go too far. So now we're going to make the sides. So grab one of your cups and go onto the corner stitch. Just like that. And now we're going to reattach the yarn here. So all you're going to do is take your hook and pull the yarn through the corner stitch of one of the cups. And now we're going to make another chain. So the chain is going to be how long the measurement you just took was. And remember, a chain is yarning over and pulling through the loop on your hook. For me, my chain ended up being 12 stitches, but just make sure the chain is however long the measurement is. So now that our chain is all finished, we are going to stitch back through the other way. So remember, before we were stitching in the third loop of the chain when we first started the cups, but now we don't have to worry about doing that. So we're just gonna do single crochets normally in the chain. And starting in the second chain from the hook, so it's that one. This is the first chain, that's the second chain. So go into the second chain and it's just the top loop of the braid. So you don't have to worry about flipping the chain over and going in the back loop only. You can just single crochet the chain normally and just single crochet in each chain stitch until you reach the cup. Now that we've single crocheted down the entire chain, we're going to single crochet across each cup. So you can just put your hook in each hole that you see It's not super important which holes you go into, but when you look at the bottom of your cup, you should be able to see distinguished holes where you can insert your hook and make a single crochet. Just keep crocheting in each hole that you see, and make sure you're not accidentally putting 2 single crochets in one hole. Now we're just about to reach the middle of the cups. So you can see that's where the slip knot is. Just make sure when you go across the second cup, the cups are facing the same direction and everything is straight. So I like to skip the slip knot that we made and just go into the next available hole. So that's the slip knot there. I just go right into the next hole. And that just makes it so that there's not a really wide gap between the cups at the finished product, and it makes the cups be a little bit closer together when you try it on. So just keep crocheting across the second cup here, and I'll meet you back when we're at the end of the second cup. Okay, so now that we've done both cups, we're going to start the second side piece. So just start making a new chain, which again is yarning over and pulling through the loop on your hook, and make this chain the exact same amount of stitches as your other chain. So I'm going to do another 12 stitches here, and then I'm just going to go in the second chain from the hook again and single crochet my way back down the chain. And now that we've done single crocheting down the chain, we're going to single crochet back down both cups. So now that we've done a row of single crochets, it's much easier to see where you're going to put your hook, and it's just under each one of those V's. So just keep single crocheting across both cups. And I will meet you back once you've done single crocheting across the second chain. And once you're at the end of this row, which means you went all the way to the other side of the cup, please, please, please count your stitches and write that number down, and make sure throughout the project, at every single end of the row, you are counting your stitches and making sure it's the same number. And that's going to make sure that you're not accidentally increasing or decreasing on your top. Okay, so we're coming up on the very last stitch here. And now we're done attaching the cups together, and we're going to start on the actual bottom part of the top. And that's a different stitch, which I'm going to show you how to do. But first we are going to weave in that pesky little end there. So again, just thread your yarn needle and go back and forth between different stitches just to make sure it's really secure, and then you can cut the end. Now that we're done the bulk of the top, it's time to work on the bottom half. And I would recommend pausing here and taking a moment to try the top on and making sure the sides reach the point in the back that is comfortable for you, making sure there's enough room to leave a corset tie back. To finish off the body, we are going to start by chaining 1 and turning our work. And now in the very first available stitch, we are going to place a single crochet. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over again, pull through. In the next stitch, we're going to make a double crochet. Make sure when you're doing these stitches that your tension is very loose. If your tension is too tight, your stitches are going to kind of collapse onto each other and it's going to be really hard to make the next row. In the next available stitch, we're going to make a double crochet. So yarn over before inserting your hook. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over again, and pull through. Now there's 3 loops on your hook. Make sure your tension's loose, yarn over, pull through 2. Now there's 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over again and pull through those 2. That was a double crochet, and now in the next stitch we're making a regular single crochet. So insert your hook, yarn over, and yarn over again and pull through. So that's a single crochet. And now we're making a double crochet. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over again, pull through. And make sure your tension is loose here. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over again, pull through 2. Now we're back to a single crochet, so insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over again, pull through. So the pattern here is to do single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, double crochet. Next stitch we're doing a double crochet, so yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over again, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And now you can see here that the stitches are kind of a little bit wavy, and that's because the double crochet stitches are twice as tall as a single crochet stitch. So again, I cannot stress how important this is. Make sure your tension is extremely loose when doing your double crochets. So the next stitch is single crochet, the next stitch is double crochet. So just keep repeating this over and over again until you reach the end of the other side of the top. Okay, so we're almost at the end here. So that's a single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, double crochet. Now, depending on whether or not you have even or odd number of stitches in your top, you may end on a double crochet and you may end on a single crochet. And whichever one it is, it doesn't matter, but the important thing is the next row we're going to start on the opposite stitch that you ended on. So once you get to the end of the work, chain and turn. And now if you ended on a double crochet, you're going to begin the next row on a single crochet. If you ended the row on a single crochet, you're going to start the next row with a double crochet. And this pattern is going to create a really pretty wavy texture, and it kind of looks like seashells. So in the next available stitch, place the opposite stitch that you ended on. So for me, it's a single crochet. And now I'm doing a double crochet, and then a single crochet, double crochet. Now it was really important for us to have loose tension this entire time, because this row, if your tension was too tight on the last row, your double crochets would have kind of collapsed onto the single crochets, and it's going to make it appear like each double crochet is actually 2 stitches, and you're going to end up accidentally increasing and make your top be way too wide. So if you're having trouble finding where to place your next stitch in the second row of this alternating single crochet, double crochet, I do recommend maybe redoing the last row that you did and just making sure your tension is super loose. If this stitch is just not your jam and you're not into it, you can totally just single crochet until you reach the desired length of your top. You don't have to do this stitch, it's just a really pretty texture. But if you prefer to just do single crochets this whole time, you can totally do that. Do whatever works for you. So here I'm going to show you what it looks like if your tension was too tight on the last round. You can see from the side there's not a super clear hole on where to put your next stitch, and it kind of looks like there's a really tight stitch and then a really loose stitch. So the actual stitch here is the looser looking V. But again, it can be really easy to accidentally put 2 stitches in there and make an accidental increase. So just make sure the tension on your rounds is super loose and you won't have that problem. The biggest tip I have for you guys is to count your stitches, and at the end of each row, count your stitches and make sure it's the exact same number at the end of every single row that you do. And if it's not, you're gonna have to go back and redo that row. Now that you're at the end of the round, make your final stitch, and then we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And now for the next row, again, we are putting the opposite stitch that we ended on into the first stitch. So here I'm ending on a double crochet, which means in the next round I'm going to be starting with a single crochet. And you're just going to repeat this pattern over and over again until you reach the length that you want your top to be. So for each row, we are alternating between single crochet and double crochet. For my tops, I like to do between 3 and 4 inches of this stitch. So here you can see that's a finished top, and that's about 3.5 inches of the alternating stitch that I did to finish the bottom. So just keep making the rows like we were just doing, and in part 3 I'm going to show you how to make the border across the entire top, the straps, and the corset lace back. See you in part 3.